Coming to get you, Bobber.
Cherry Falls is a 2000 horror movie directed by Jeffrey Wright, and it stars Brittany Murphy, Jay Moore and Michael Bain. Before we get into the review, guys, here's a little bit of trivia for you that I had no idea about. I always assumed this was a theatrical released movie in the US because I'm sure it had a theatrical release in the UK, but it had an intention of being a theatrically released movie in the US, but they didn't. They ended up releasing it straight to video as a TV movie. So it was at the time officially the most expensive TV movie ever made at $14 million. In the small town of Cherry Falls, a psychotic murderer is killing off the virgins of the local high school. When I was writing up my notes for this film, I was surprised to see that this movie wasn't popular. It wasn't popular at the time, and it probably still isn't popular today. I think it gained a little bit more popularity through Brittany Murphy and her career, and obviously with the Scream Factory release a few years ago. But when you look on IMDb, for example, it's got just over 11,000 votes on IMDb, and I'm thinking, wow, this movie is really not popular. With the slasher movies of the late 90s and the early noughties, I actually really liked the change in the rules for this film. Scream set the rules with Randy, and Cherry Falls was the first movie, I think, to break those rules, in the case that if you're a virgin, you will die, instead of you will survive if you're the virgin. I really like that twist. Apart from the good storyline though, I think this movie was just your generic slasher movie of that time. You had a group of teens in a school getting stalked by an unknown killer, a whodunit movie, and the killer ends up being some sort of relation to one of the main characters that they're trying to kill. That's basic. In terms of the acting, I think it was pretty decent, to be honest, especially from Brittany Murphy, Jay Moore and Michael Bain. Everyone else was okay. I don't think I had anyone that I disliked, and I think the characters were very interesting this time. Unlike some other slasher movies of that time, I got behind almost every character in the movie. I think my biggest issue with Cherry Falls was its predictability. I knew straight away, or I guessed straight away, who the killer was, and it was Jay Moore's character, the teacher. He was just your typical bumbling teacher who looked like he had something to hide, and I thought, he's the killer, and it turned out he was the killer. And even more so, it tried to make us think that the other people were the killers. For example, the mother, who could be looked at as the jealous mother because of what happened with Michael Bay's character back in the day. Also, Michael Bay's partner, the cop, it kept on going to her as if she was this jealous woman, this jealous cop, and it turns out it obviously wasn't her either. So it tried to point us towards the wrong people, obviously, and then it obviously tried to keep us away from Jay Moore, and I just thought, he's the killer. So the predictability with Cherry Falls was rife. I think what sealed it as well was the flashback scene with Michael Bain. Him and his friends were attacking this girl, Laura Lee Sherman, and it kind of adds up to back in the day where Laura Lee Sherman was young enough to have a kid, and then all these years later, her kid would have been a little bit older than Brittany Murphy's character, and the only people that were kind of older than her in the film was the young teacher. Because this went straight to TV instead of the cinema, I heard there was not an alternate ending, but really big cuts to the ending that they had intended for the cinema release, and that was, there was an orgy at the end of the film, and the orgy was supposed to be more graphic in terms of sex and also blood as well. There was some bloody scenes in the film, but you can tell it was cut down for TV purposes. I didn't notice it at the time, but when I read about it, that it came straight to TV, and then when I watched it again, I thought, oh, I can tell that it's been cut, and I can see that a lot of the blood scenes were taken out. I'm not sure if the original cut is still available. I wonder if any of you guys would know that, if you've seen or heard about an original cut that was more bloody. Overall though, I think it was one of the weaker movies in the slasher genre for that time. One thing I will give it props for was it had a memorable killer. So if any of you guys seen Cherry Falls, please tell me you've seen it. Please tell me you've heard of the movie, with me finding out it's not that very popular. But I remember back in the day, I bought it on DVD. It was one of the first DVDs that I ever bought back in 2000, 2001, and I just automatically assumed because it was a movie like Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, everyone would have seen it, and that's obviously not the case. But as always guys, leave your comments down below, let me know what you thought of the movie if you've seen it. Thanks a lot for watching, thanks for subscribing, I'll see you soon, bye bye.